Hey y'all, so I'm back with another review. I am here to review the Real Housewives of New York season, I don't know, episode, I believe 3 or 4, whatever. It'll be in the title. Let's go. So this episode wasn't really a whole lot going on. The theme of this episode was put the drink down. Put the alcoholic beverage down. That's pretty much the theme of this whole damn episode to me. So let's get started. Excuse me, I have to zoom in on my notes. Okay, so this is the morning after, the little wannabe Burning Man situation that they had outside. Okay, so we got Ramona and Sonia. They're in like one bed together, and they're just kind of talking about the night before. They both said how they really like Ebony, and they kind of feel for, Leah and her whole situation with her grandma. And Sonia also talks about how she wants to be able to be vulnerable with Ebony because she feels like she has that kind of spirit, like she's the type of person you can do that with. Then we go over to Ebony. Ebony's in her room. Luann asks if she has, I think, like a nail file or something like that. So she goes in there, and they just kind of start talking about the night before. And Ebony is like, well, she brings up the help comment, and she was like, I felt a little bit uncomfortable, about that. Like, I don't understand why she said that. Like, that's not cool. And Lou pretty much was like, well, that's just kind of Ramona. And then, like, Bravo kind of, like, shows, like, playbacks of, like, Ramona dealing with, like, people like who have like that's helped her around the house and stuff, or like whether it's like a maid or like somebody that's just like serving them or whatever, like how she's kind of like very indifferent to them or whatever. What I will say about that is Ramona, but you want to know why that's Ramona, because nobody checks her. I hate when people be like, oh, that's just how such and such is, and it's like, okay, but they're like that because you allow them to be. You don't step in and check them and say that's wrong. Nobody does that. So yeah, that is how they are, because nobody wants to step in and tell them that that's incorrect and that's wrong. Ebony talks about how to her the help comment was offensive to her because her grandmother, like a lot of our grandmothers, especially if you have a certain complexion, worked at one point in time as the quote unquote the help. My thing is, did Ramona ever see the movie The Help? Because if she did, I don't think she'd be saying any of this. That's my mama. I'm gonna call you back, mama. I'm gonna call you back. Not that my mama watches my videos, but if she do, I'm gonna call you back, mama. But yeah, did Ramona ever see the movie The Help? Because if she did, then she probably would understand why you shouldn't say that. But I highly doubt Ramona has ever seen The Help, the movie. So anyway, but again, it's offensive because her grandmother used to work for white people, cleaning their houses, taking care of their babies, like a lot of white people. I mean, a lot of us have done. And if you want to talk about in 2021. Take y'all asses. Let me tell you something. If you are from New York, or if you lived in New York, even a little bit of your life, and you was in that, and you ever been to like the Upper East Side or anywhere in that area, or just in Manhattan, period, you will know for a fact that if you go to the park and stuff like that, you don't be seeing a whole bunch of white people with their babies and stuff like that. You be seeing a whole lot of Hispanic people, a whole lot of Hispanic women normally walking around pushing white babies in strollers with them at the park and stuff like that, because that's normally who y'all get to help raise y'all damn kids. No shit. These are the facts of the facts of the facts. So again, stop saying The Help. These people have names, okay? Point. And granted, I know that the quote unquote help was white, but it's still offensive. These are people with names. They're not just here for you to use as like fucking tools or some shit, or like they're people. Okay, so it's one thing if you don't know their name because you can't remember, that's fine, but you don't have to like Ebony was saying, like, devalue them by calling them The Help. It's messed up. And again, even Ebony said it's not a racial thing, it's just more of a like trying to see everyone as equal type of thing. So that's just that on that. All of the girls get together. Leah goes to Ramona's room or whatever, where her and Sonia is getting ready. Is Leah a fashion person? I think I seen somebody say online. Matter of fact, let me look it up. Leah, Real Housewives of New York's job. What does she do? Because somebody said something about her. Okay, she is an American fashion designer. Girl, I need to see her clothing and her fashion, whatever choices, because these fashion choices that she be making so far on the season, not good. That whole outfit looked a fucking mess that she had on. What was those pants? The top was it is what it is. It was like a cute little upper top. More than anything, Leah's body is amazing. That's just what I got from it. Leah's body is fucking amazing. It's like top notch. She looks so damn good. But the outfit was a no. I agreed with Ramona. It was a hell no. Okay, but the body's on point. Then we get to because everybody was going to a winery. That's what it was. Luann decided we're all gonna go to a winery. Now I didn't think about this until a little bit later, but then it hit me. I'm like, well, Luann, why are you suggesting that we go to a winery when you are having problems with alcohol? But okay, whatever. So they go to the winery, they get there, they're talking and stuff like that. On their way there, Lou talks about Garth, which is her new little boo thing. Y'all know every now and again, every season, Lou gotta have a little boo. I'm trying to tell you, the only reason I really go up for the Real Housewives of New York a lot of times is because they really just be out here just hitting it and quitting it. And I'm here for it. I love it. I live, because you rarely see like women that are like around the age of like Sonia, Ramona, Lou, like who are just so freely like, man, we out here. What's up? It ain't nothing serious. We just going kick it, and then you could go about your day and I go about my way. I fuck with it. I love it so much. So yeah, so let me see. Leah, like I said, says pretty much that she thinks that Luann brought them to the winery to show that she's okay with being around alcohol, but she don't think that that's really like a good thing, and I would have to agree. So then they're all sitting at the table and they're having lunch and stuff, and Ebony brings up the help comment. Now, first of all, the initial way that Ramona reacted to it, because I think she knew what she was gonna say, wasn't good, because she was like, no, like, do we have to talk about this now? Do we have to talk? Y'all know Ramona talk real fast. Do we have to talk about this now? Do we have to? And she was like, well, I kind of want to bring it up. Yeah, I want to kind of get out of the way. No, I don't want to talk about it because we're having a good time. Let's talk about that later. And it's like, no, Ramona, you don't get to run the show. I'm asking you about it now. So answer the fucking question or let's talk about it. So I will agree with Ramona that I like the way that Ebony brought it up. Like the way that she brought up the help comment, it wasn't like in the bitch, who the fuck, why would you say that? You're wrong as hell. You're weird as hell. She just explained nicely, like, to me, why that is offensive is because, you know, my grandmother worked in that, and I just feel like, you know, you can actually call people by their names versus, you know, calling them the help. I just think it's offensive. And Ramona in her confessional was like, and she said to Ebony, she said, I'm going to take that and I apologize and I'm going to try to do better. And she said, I appreciate how Ebony, like, told me that I was wrong, but it was in a non-condescending way, which, you know, some black people will be like some black people will look at that and be like, oh, she was kind of like coddling Ramona's feelings, but I don't look at it like that. I do feel like, not with the race, I feel like in general, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, you know what I mean? And so I do like the way that Ebony approached that. She wasn't being loud and ignorant and jumping out the window and snapping on her. She just brought it up, and Ramona took it after she initially didn't take it well. She took it well and she apologized and stuff, so that was good. Then we get to the whole thing about the blood plasma situation. Now y'all know on the last reunion, it was brought up about whether or not Ramona went to the press pretty much and said that she like donated blood plasma or whatever. Now, mind you, this is after Ramona was called out and caught like being in Florida and stuff like that, jumping around Trump and shit with no mask on and all this other stuff. And then even on a reunion, you know, they talked about how Ramona was being really irresponsible during COVID and stuff. And so even during that time, they said that they didn't believe Ramona as far as her giving blood, like doing the blood plasma. And 2 episodes before, when Leah and Ebony came to Sonia's house, Sonia and Leah kind of talked about it for a brief second. They was like, do you want to know why we know she didn't give blood plasma? Because she ain't put it on Instagram. I found that hilarious because it's probably fucking true. We all know somebody who posts everything they do on Instagram. So you know if they didn't post it, it didn't happen. So Leah wants to get to the bottom of this. Did you or did you not donate blood plasma? Because to me, it sounds like you're lying. And so Ramona was like, well, I was tested or whatever. That's what happened. I went down there and they tested my blood. She said, okay. But getting your blood tested and donating blood plasma, those are 2 different things. So my thing is, why don't you just be honest and say that you lied about it? And so then Ramona, of course, starts getting defensive. And they're like, it's a simple yes or no. Ramona won't answer it. It's a whole lot of, I got tested. This is how I know you be around Trump, because you keep giving the same damn one. You never answering the question. That's how I know. It was tested. My blood was tested. My blood. Okay, but did you give blood plasma, yes or no? Yes or no? my blood was tested, bitch. So everybody's annoyed at this point, especially Leah. And Leah was like, at the end of the day, I feel like Ramona is just trying to like clean up her image because of the whole thing that happened with COVID and how irresponsible she was acting and how we all came for her pretty much at the reunion. She's trying to clean up her image. And even Sonya said it later on in her confession. And she was like, why don't you just say, I went out there and I lied and I said I gave blood plasma because I thought, it was probably like, what kind of probably make me look a little bit better. And also I wanted to maybe like encourage other people to do it. But that's just not what happened. Again, Ramona can't deal with pretty much being called out for her bullshit. So she gets up and she takes off. And my thing is just be honest, girl. It's not that fucking real. So then Lou gets up to goes and checks on Ramona, whatever, and Ramona's pissed at Leah and going off on about her and like, look at her with her ugly ass stuff on and she's coming for me and da 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 da. And so then she comes back to the table for a brief second until she walks away again with Sonya, and Sonya's like, girl, it's not that big of a deal. So wrap all of that situation up. Who cares? It's a Luann. Ramona never fesses up to, not donating plasma, which we all know that she didn't, but it's fine. It is what it is. So then they're all like sitting at this bar or whatever, and ooh shit. And Luann and Leah are sitting next to each other, and of course, Luann got her little glass. Now, mind you, it's not real alcohol; it's like fake rosé or whatever. And Leah is like kind of picking up on some things, like I've been picking up on, and she was like, I see, like you holding your fake wine glass and your rosé and it's all of that. But she was like, I know that it's not alcohol, but you're still somewhat being tethered to the experience because you still have a wine glass. You're still getting something poured out of a champagne bottle, so it. No, you're not drinking it, but you're still indulging in the activity itself in a way, like it's like you still want to be connected to it some way somehow. And when you're trying to get off of alcohol, you need to make like a clean break. You don't need to be doing little stuff that's still gonna remind you of you doing it. And she's like, it's not that big of a deal, it's fake, whatever. And Lou said this multiple times throughout the episode, like, I just want to feel part of, pretty much meaning like Ebony, Sonya, and Ramona, they are all going to have wine glasses if we all go out. That's just how it's going to be. And I don't want to be the only person sitting here without a wine glass and I just have like some water or some tonic, like kind of like Leah had or whatever. And, of course, Luann starts getting a little defensive and she's like, well, look at what you're drinking. She's like, but it's not a drink and it's not in a wine glass. And I would have to agree with Leah to a degree, like, okay, yes, it's not alcohol, but it's like you are still trying to partake in that experience. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're still trying to partake in the experience, period. And for you to really, really be sober and really be clear the way that you need to just cut it off altogether, not still try to get little remnants of it how you can. And I feel where Leah is coming from that. So then they go and they all go sit down for dinner. And at this point, when they sit down for dinner, first of all, Sonya is up. I mean, she is just lit. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. After a while, Sonya Morgan being on TV acting like this, it's no longer entertainment to me personally. We talking about Luann having an alcohol problem, Leah acting alcohol. Sonya really does have an alcohol problem. This is not the first, second, third, fourth, fifth season that we've seen Sonya on here acting a fool when she gets drunk. Sonya does not know how to control her alcohol. So to me, she has an alcohol problem. She overindulges and then she acts a damn fool. She's literally one. Sonya is a destructive drunk. Y'all know how we all have different types of drunks. I am the go to sleep drunk. So when I'm very intoxicated, I want to take a nap. Like my best friend told me all the time, like we was just saying the other day, like we had went to this bar crawl a couple years ago. And literally after the first bar of taking shots and we walking down, we walking down the street. I'm literally like this leaning on her. She was like, wake your ass up. That's me. I'm the sleepy drunk. So I just want to go to sleep. You got the loud drunk they're not destructive, but they just talk super fucking loud. Then you have the crying drunk, the person want to be in the corner crying because they're just so emotional about everything. Then you have the angry drunk, and to me, Sonya is a mix of being an angry drunk and a destructive drunk. Both of those things, like she just acts the fucking fool. And I really think that she needs help. Like all bullshit aside, like take all of like the antics of what I'm doing aside. Sonya really needs help. Like she really needs to the people around her need to rally around her and get her the help that she needs, because it's not cute. Fuck out of here. Fuck about it even being cute. It's not healthy. It's just not. She needs to get therapy to deal with a lot of her trauma and a lot of her, like, a lot of things that she's gone through in the past. Like, even when we go back to her husband, she's obviously still not over the fact that she's no longer part of that JP Morgan whole situation. And I really feel like when it comes to Sonya, her in particular, because her identity was so connected to that, although it was a long time ago, I get what people are saying, her whole identity was so connected to that. Kind of how like Luann was kind of connected to being like the quote unquote Duchess, and it took Luann a while even now to try to figure out her own identity. I think that's what's going on with Sonya. She's trying to, for the last however long, ever since she's been out of that family, she's been divorced, she's been trying to figure out who is Sonya on her own, not attached to the Morgan brand. So yeah, so that's just that on that. They talk about Heather coming up. I remember y'all told y'all that they told Leah before that Heather was coming. And Leah was like, nah. So before Heather come up here, let me just read everything that she been saying about y'all. She reads what was said about Sonya. She reads what, to Lou, what was said about her. Now, Luann was like, I didn't know that she said all of this about me. Like, that's kind of crazy or whatever. Like, I just seen her a couple days ago or whatever. And so she was like, all right, well, you want to know what? First, they was like, well, maybe she shouldn't come. But they was like, you know what? No, we're going to let her come. And then we just going to address it, which is what's going to happen next week. They're going to all, like, address Heather about what she said about each one of them. So let me see what else. Oh yeah, that's pretty much the end of the episode. Yeah. And so then Luann gets on the phone talking to Garth or whatever the case may be, and everybody's like, oh, that's so cute. Sonya gets in her feelings because she's like, oh, you want to be on the phone? Okay, cool. So she hops on the phone and calls like some random ass person that she knows or whatever. And then I think like Ebony takes the phone, because I think it was like the diversity person from, I think, Chase or something like that. And so they was talking on the phone for a brief minute, and then like Leah had got up to like go to the bathroom. I feel like Leah got up because she was starting to be triggered by Sonya, because Sonya was just starting to act a fool. And this is how I feel about it. Sonya, even outside of you and your own alcoholic problems, I think that it's in bad taste, and you're not being a good friend by you overindulging in alcohol, knowing damn well that you have two people right here who are fighting their own alcoholism. I think that, like I said, Sonya has her own problems, right, that she got to deal with as far as alcohol. But I just think as a friend wise, you shouldn't have even indulged in the first place, because you're around two people who are trying to get over not being, not drinking alcohol. So I'm pretty sure, like, and I think even next episode, Luann's going to cry a little bit. And I'm pretty sure that's because her and Leah are probably going to be triggered from seeing Sonya act the fool like that. That's probably triggering as hell to both of them. So, yeah. This episode wasn't a whole lot, but 17 minutes. Ooh, I dragged it out. So, that's for y'all. Hopefully, next week's episode seems like it'll be better. So, yeah, we'll be back. I'll be back. My next video will be for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So, I'll see y'all in a minute. Bye.